Well, here we are. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is right around the corner. Volume 1, there is a Volume 2 coming out later down the line. We don't know when that is. But everybody was looking pretty excited to be picking this up, and when it was first announced for me though, I was kind of like waiting for something to be said about why I would want to maybe play these versions over the PS3 HD collection, which is what I still play to this day. Turns out there's actually not much reason to be playing these versions over the PS3 original collection, done by Blue Point back in the day, which is a fantastic collection, I might add. They're such good collections that they're actually just re-releasing them again on modern day machines. It's been a long time coming. I think everybody's kind of like craved Metal Gear Solid to be on newer machines. Me myself, like I was saying earlier though, I still have these games on the PS3 HD collection. I also own the backwards compatible versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 and Peace Walker on the Xbox. And I think those versions are pretty good as well, but it's mostly the controller that I prefer, which is actually PlayStation for Metal Gear Solid games, because that's what they were originally made for. So it kind of feels weird playing them on an Xbox controller. I kind of have a bit of that going on. So even though the Xbox versions are technically better graphically than the PS3 HD collection, I still tend to go towards the PS3 HD collection purely for the controller alone. Now, I'll be honest, I was expecting something better for this Master Collection, even better than like the HD collection that we've been playing for years. I was expecting them to at least be more upscaled versions of the games to at least 4K. But it's came out the past couple of days that these games are only going to be targeting 1080p 60 FPS, and I kind of wanted to like speak about, is that okay? I mean, I don't think it is, personally, because they are charging here in the UK £50 for this collection for games that we technically already own twice, even 3 times if you've like owned them on the original machines. And it's quite a bit just for like what feels like the most bare bones ports they could possibly do anyway. Red Dead Redemption just came out a little while ago, which I had serious beef with, and I never even made a video about that because I don't really care about Red Dead Redemption, but I do care about Metal Gear Solid. Red Dead Redemption came out and it was targeting like 4K 30 FPS, and I thought it was shocking that it was still 30 FPS for a re-release, but I expect absolutely nothing less from Rockstar. And I'll be honest, probably I shouldn't have expected much more from Konami, but I was definitely not supporting the Red Dead Redemption literal port that they were releasing, just transferring it to another machine. The most basic ass stuff. But I guess Rockstar are doing more than Konami, which at least they were giving people 4K. Because in this day and age, we should at least have some sort of future-proofing for the games. I mean, like, 4K is becoming a standard these days. Bigger TVs, better monitors. And for these games to be only running at 1080p, I think is pretty bad. Now, that's not even the worst part about it all. This is actually one of the parts that I don't know whether to like laugh in pity of the Switch or like what, man. I have no idea how to like really respond to it. But so the Switch is actually targeting 1080p 30 FPS, which you wouldn't think is crazy, but because these games originally came out in a PS2 era, it's a bit shocking. So it kind of just like makes you think, how hard are they really trying with this collection to the point where they cannot even optimize the games on the Switch to run at 60 at all? Especially when, and this is the real bummer, because the game Metal Gear Solid 2 specifically targeted 60 FPS on the PlayStation 2. Now, think about that how you want. Obviously, the game ran at 480i back in the day on PS2, no quite 1080p. So Konami have obviously looked at it and been like, okay, I think we'll choose resolution over the targeted 60 frames per second for Switch. So like they couldn't have even like reduced it to 720p 60. I don't know. I'm no some technical person that knows the ins and outs of the Switch hardware. As much as I feel sorry for the Switch people that might be picking the game up, I genuinely think people should just be like voting with their wallets here, but it's really hard to tell people not to buy what they've got their mindset on buying. Me myself, like over the years, I kind of got sick of begging for remasters of games and them overcharging for literal ports that aren't even as good as the original games in some ways. I still play on my PS3, but I didn't expect everybody to still have a PlayStation 3 hooked up to their current day setup. Some people have literally a PS5 and it's out with the old, in with the new. They don't want like all these things on their desks. Some people still want Wii U ports, but I've still got like my Wii U here in case there was a game that I ever wanted to play on it. But no, everyone's like that, and I don't expect people to be like that. At the end of the day though, I think we have to like ask ourselves if these versions of the games are actually worth $60. No, I don't think so personally, not for myself. But I think if you don't have a PS3 up or you don't have an Xbox, then at least for those people, if you're desperate to be playing Metal Gear Solid in this day and age, then yes, it's going to be worth it. If that's your only way of playing Metal Gear Solid, yes, I think it's worth it. But if you already own these collections on previous machines and still have access to them, I think you're like adding to the problem of re-releases in this day and age being as bare bones as they are. And I'm not saying these games are not going to be worth getting at some point though. At the end of the day, for people like myself, these versions are PC versions of the games, and I think the Metal Gear Solid has a die-hard enough community that fans will actually make HD textures for these games one day down the line, and they will be available at higher resolutions because of mods. But those kind of mods are not going to be available on consoles, so I genuinely think the only versions of these games that are going to be worth getting one day, and I'm talking about when there's a sale on and half off at least, I'm thinking, because at least we'll be able to mod them down the line and get better longevity out of them. It'll be nice to see what kind of mods they come up with, but I still don't think the ability to create mods is going to be worth $60 like day one. I cannot help but come away a little bit sad about the whole situation though, that I genuinely thought this Master Collection would be like guaranteed getting it. This is Metal Gear Solid finally coming to PC, newer machines, 4K, even better resolutions and textures, but no, it's just not the case. It's not the case with the current day, modern day gaming landscape that we live in, where we're getting absolutely like terrible ports from people like Rockstar and Konami. It's not like Konami's first time they've made a bad HD collection. Silent Hill, anyone? They've been here before. And I'll tell you, it doesn't leave me too excited for the Master Collection Volume 2 that supposedly Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to be on, and everyone's excited about that. Or at least they were looking forward to it before they heard the news about this port. I know I was looking forward to the MGS4 port to see how that was going to shape up. But let me know what you think about the Master Collection, dudes. Do you think like it's just like another cash grab by Konami? Just like what companies are doing right now? Trying to like abuse gamers. So-called remasters coming out, but they're basically no even remasters. I mean, you can't help but feel a bit sad about the whole situation. I'd like to know what people think about it. I, for one, won't be picking up this collection until maybe like a year and a bit down the line, and it's like at least half off. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. Take it easy, peeps.